Professor Akram here, and in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to link objects in 3ds Max so that if you move the parent object, the children objects move with that object. And a good example of that is with our Sweetie character here. Now, if I were to select the Sweetie body or head, as I'm calling it, if I move it, you'll notice that the face and the little heart that's supposed to be on her head does not move with the body. So I'm going to hit undo. And I'm going to link all these objects together. Now this is somewhat similar to boning, but a very sort of simplified method. When you have a character like Sweetie that doesn't really have need for bones and joints, linking is a great alternative. It also works really well with simple animations. Let's say you have a chain that you want to animate. You would use linking versus boning. It's just really quick and simple. Before we start linking our objects together, we need to apply the Reset Xform to each of our objects. And the Reset Xform resets the transform of the scale and rotation to 100%. And this just makes it easier to import the model into our game engine, in this case Unity. And we want to do the Reset Xform after we've got the model fully modeled out, but before we do the linking of the objects. The reason for that is if we do the Reset Xform after we've linked the object, it'll actually reset the children objects to match up with the parent object. So we don't want that to happen. So I'm going to start with the body, select it, and go to the Utilities tab and Reset Xform. And I'm going to reset selected. And again, that's going to reset the information on the object. I'm going to deselect that, and if you want to see the Reset Xform happening, you can go and right click on our scale tool here. It sets up the scale transform type. And if I were to say select the heart, which I know that I've scaled and rotated, you can see that it's got some offsettings from what it was originally. And so if I go again over to Reset Xform, reset selected, it's now at 100%. And I want to do that for the hands. They seem to be okay. The eyes seem to be okay, but we'll do it for everything just to make sure that everything has been reset. Now from here, we can go ahead and link up everything. So to do this, you're going to select the objects that you want to link to each other. So for example, I'm going to select my eyes here and I want to link them to the head. And to do this, I'm going to use the link tool, which is right here, this chain icon. And I'm just going to click on the object and click what I want to link it to. And I want to link it to the head. And now those are linked. We know they're linked because over in the hierarchy, we now see a little triangle by body. And we can see the eyes are now inset into the body. And I'm just going to repeat this process. I'm going to click on the mouth and I'm going to link it to the head. I'm going to click on the heart, link it to the head. And I'm also going to click the right and left hand over here and click those to the head as well. Oh, it looks like I got the eyes there. I can click those to the head. And again, over in our body here, you can see that all these items are now inset. So they're now all part of the body. But we can manipulate this a little further more, or we can at least see the hierarchy of how things are linked by going to our schematic view. So up on the top toolbar here, I'm going to keep panning over until I get to schematic view. And what this does is it shows me all my objects and how they're linked to each other. So I do have a little heart spline that I used to create the hair heart. So that's being ignored right now. But I have my body, and on my body I have my eye, mouth, heart, right hand, left hand, and they're all connected to the body. But if I had a little bit more complex of an object, I might have, for example, a hand and an arm, and so those would be hierarchied from each other. So my hand would be attached to an arm, and then the arm would be attached to the body. So this allows me to see this view a little bit easier. I can kind of manipulate out how I want to view these. So I can set something up like this. Actually, this would be the left hand. This would be the right hand on this side. So this just gives me a better perspective that everything up here is more or less the main body or head, and then I have my two right and left hands, and they're all connected to the main body. So if I move the main body, everything moves with Sweetie. And that is basically how you set up linked objects. Now, if I wanted to test this, I can go to W for my move tool. I still have the body selected. If I move her now, you can see that everything moves with her. Now, even though they're all linked to the body is the parent, the individual children objects can still be moved. So for example, let's say I want to animate something where Sweetie grabs something. I can still manipulate her hand moving back and forth, and her body doesn't move with her. So I do have that option. I'm going to do Control Z just to put that back in place. So that is a quick example of how to link your models together inside 3D Studio Max. I hope you found this tutorial helpful, and don't forget to check out our other tutorials on the channel. What are you waiting for? Get creative today!